Let's close out the episode with most improved, though. This is one that might be another clean sweep. Now, you could look at this in one of two ways. The way that we're going to look at this is the way that most actual voting is when it comes to most improved, and that is between last year and this year. And if that is the case, I completely agree with the listenership on this one. 78% of the vote goes to Rickard Rakell. We talked about him at the beginning of the episode. He is tied his career high in points. He has surpassed his career high in goals. All of this coming off of a year where in October, the sentiment on him was extremely poor. He had a year where his shoulder was messed up. He missed time throughout the year. He wore a brace throughout the remainder of the year. I mean, Kyle Dubas was reportedly very unhappy during certain games last year with Rickard Rakell yelling from his box at PPG Paints Arena. And you look at what he's turned into. One of the guys that everybody in the league, not just in Pittsburgh, but everybody in the league said, I can't believe Kyle Dubas didn't trade this guy, because everyone was interested. Everyone wanted Rickard Rakell. And Kyle Dubas did the thing that you mentioned earlier. And he said the best course of action right now is no action with Rickard Rakell. All of that to say, I agree with 78% of the listenership. Rickard Rakell is my vote for most improved.
I mean, it has to be. It just has to be. Just looking at the last 3 seasons, you go his 3 full seasons in Pittsburgh goes in 22-23, 60 points in 82 games to 37 and 70, 69 and 80. I mean, yeah, that sort of bell curve, or the opposite of a bell curve, whatever that is quite good. That's exactly what the most improved award is made for. That's sort of, hey, you were really good. You dipped quite a bit, and you're back. Good to see you. It's that sort of trajectory, and honestly, it's better than any season he's put up before. It's verging on a career year. I mean, he's already got his goals pace. He's an assist behind the most assists he's had in the season, and obviously he's ready to surpass that for points. What more could you have asked for? Maybe in those same 3 years, he goes from a -5 to a +4 to a -22. I think we figured it out. But I was thinking we figured out maybe he stopped playing defense, and that's where this offense is coming from.
Well, the entire team stopped playing defense this year, so I think that's a safe assumption to make. But no, as far as Rickard Rakell is concerned, you know what else happened? You left him on the first line with Crosby all season. You didn't play with him. You didn't say, oh, well, now we need some bottom 6 scoring. Rax, try to do it. Yeah. Well, Malkin needs a better winger. Rax, go try to do it. No, Rickard Rakell is at his best when he's playing with Sidney Crosby. That's not to say that he is completely a product of Sidney Crosby, because I know some people will take it that way, but that is not the way this is intended. But he gets the most out of his game when he's playing with Crosby. And that happens with a lot of players, right? Mm-hmm. That happened with Chris Kunitz. That happened with Jake Gensel to a lesser extent, because he was still very good with Evgeny Malkin, and you look at what he's doing now with Nikita Kucherov is ridiculous. So, but Rickard Rakell was given the opportunity to play consistently throughout a season with Sidney Crosby, and all he does is put up career highs. So, yes, Rickard Rakell has been great this year, coming off of a year last year where all of us were just smashing our head against the wall saying, this guy is better than this. We finally get to see the results of that. We get to see him bouncing back, and we get to see him have a phenomenal season. So he is the most improved. Again, 2 clean sweeps in part 2 of the Tip of the Ice-Burgh end of season awards. But Matt Grzelcyk finished in second of this voting with 15%. Like I mentioned, this is probably the most nominated player in all of these categories, and he's getting votes in all of them as well. So you have to give credit where credit is due, and you also have to look at that and say, maybe, just maybe, it's not a bad idea for the Penguins to retain old 24 going into next season. But 15% of the vote for Matt Grzelcyk, 6% of the vote for Philip Tomasino, and 1% go to other. As far as Matt Grzelcyk is concerned, this is the last I'll say on this. The guy was a healthy scratch down the stretch last year and into the playoffs for the Boston Bruins. And we just named him not 10 minutes ago as the best defenseman the Pittsburgh Penguins had this year. Now, again, the qualifications for that aren't as high, even with 2 future Hall of Famers on that blue line. But to go from what he was at the end of last year to what he is this year, which is somebody that deserves a new contract in Pittsburgh and may have priced himself out. Who knows? Somebody on the open market could overpay for Matt Grzelcyk. I think that is a drastic change in his career fortunes as well. A huge revival for Matt Grzelcyk this season.
Yeah, that's big. That's a big boost. When you do consider what he did with Boston to this year, by all means, it would also be deserving recipient of most improved year over year. So don't hate that choice either.
Now, to close it out, Phil Tomasino really quickly. 6 of his 10 goals are game winning. So I think a lot of this is the clutch gene.
Wow.
For Phil Tomasino. And I think the thing we can say about him is he showed very good spurts, right? There was that 2-week stretch where he scored like a goal and a half, I think. But I was raving because his 200-foot game was phenomenal. And him and Malkin were on the same wavelength. It was like a hive mind when the two of them were on the ice together. Now, he fell off a little bit. Then, of course, he suffered that injury that took him out for a couple games. He's back in the lineup now. But I think at the very least, he earned a spot on next year's team. I don't think he has to. I mean, obviously, if he bottoms out in training camp, somebody's going to take his place likely. But if he comes into training camp, he should be leader in the clubhouse for, at the very least, a third line spot. I think he's best suited as a bottom 6 guy, middle 6 if need be. Like if there's an injury, he can bump up. Probably the number 1 guy to bump up. But I liked what I saw out of Philip Tomasino. I'm not ready to give him the world as far as opportunity next year, but I think he deserves to come back. And I think he could be a key depth piece for a team that ends up vying for a playoff spot next year, depending on how all the other moves shake out in the Pens lineup.